Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. First canto, second chapter, verse 12. Tachadradana munayo Nana Vairagya Yuktaya Pasyantyatmani Chatmanam Bhakta Sritagrihitaya. Everybody wants to repeat. Tachadradana munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pasyantyatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Srutagrihitaya. Tachadradana munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pasyantyatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Srutagrihitaya. Tachadradana munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pasyantyatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Srutagrihitaya. Tachadradana munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pasyantyatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Srutagrihitaya. Word to word meaning. That. Shraddadana, seriously inquisitive. Munayaha, sages. Gnana, knowledge. Vairagya, detachment. Yuktaya, well equipped with. Pasyanti, see. Atmani, within himself. Cha, and. Atmanam, the Paramatma. Bhaktya, in devotional service. Shruta, the Vedas. Grihitaya, well received. Translation. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The absolute truth is realized in full by the process of devotional service to the Lord, Vasudeva, or the personality of Godhead, who is the full-fledged absolute truth. Brahman is his transcendental bodily effulgence, and Paramatma is his partial representation. As such, Brahman or Paramatma realization of the absolute truth is but a partial realization. There are 4 different types of human beings: the karmis, jnanis, the yogis, and the devotees. The karmis are materialistic, whereas the other 3 are transcendental. The first class transcendentalists are the devotees who have realized the Supreme Person. The second class transcendentalists are those who have partially realized the plenary portion of the absolute person. And the third class transcendentalists are those who have barely realized the spiritual focus of the absolute person. As stated in Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures, the Supreme Person is realized by devotional service, which is backed by full knowledge and detachment from material association. We have already discussed the point that devotional service is followed by knowledge and detachment from the material association. As Brahman and Paramatma realization are imperfect realizations of the absolute truth, so the means of realizing Brahman and Paramatma, that is, the paths of Jnana and Yoga, are also imperfect means of realizing the absolute truth. Devotional service, which is based on the foreground of full knowledge, combined with detachment from material association, and which is fixed by the oral reception of the Vedanta Shruti, is the only perfect method by which the seriously inquisitive student can realize the absolute truth. Devotional service is not, therefore, meant for the less intelligent class of transcendentalists. There are three classes of devotees, namely first, second, and third class. The third class devotees are the neophytes who have no knowledge and are not detached from the material association, but who are simply attracted by the preliminary process of worshipping the deity in the temple, are called material devotees. Material devotees are more attached to material benefit than transcendental profit. Therefore, one has to make definite progress from the position of material devotional service to the second class devotional position. In the second class position, the devotee can see four principles in the devotional line, namely the personality of Godhead, his devotees, the ignorant, and the envious. One has to raise himself at least to the stage of a second class devotee and thus become eligible to know the absolute truth. A third class devotee, therefore, has to receive the instructions of devotional service from the authoritative sources of Bhagavata. The number one Bhagavata is the established personality of devotee, and the other Bhagavatam is the message of Godhead. The third class devotee, therefore, has to go to the personality of devotee in order to learn the instructions of devotional service. Such a personality of a devotee is not a professional man who earns his livelihood by the business of Bhagavatam. Such a devotee must be a representative of Sukadeva Goswami, like Suta Goswami, and must preach the cult of devotional service for the all-around benefit of all people. A neophyte devotee has very little taste for hearing from the authorities. Such a neophyte devotee makes a show of hearing from the professional man to satisfy his senses. This sort of hearing and chanting has spoiled the whole thing, so one should be very careful about the faulty process. The holy messages of Godhead, as inculcated in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Srimad Bhagavatam, are undoubtedly transcendental subjects. But even though they are so, such transcendental matters are not to be received from the professional man, who spoils them as the serpent spoils milk simply by the touch of his tongue. A sincere devotee must therefore be prepared to hear the Vedic literature like the Upanishads, Vedanta, and other literatures left by the previous authorities or Goswamis for the benefit of his progress. Without hearing such literatures, one cannot make actual progress, and without hearing and following the instructions, the show of devotional service becomes worthless and therefore a sort of disturbance in the path of devotional service. Unless, therefore, devotional service is established on the principles of Shruti, Smriti, Purana, and Pancharatra authorities, the make show of devotional service should at once be rejected. An unauthorized devotee should never be recognized as a pure devotee. By assimilation of such messages from the Vedic literatures, one can see the all-pervading, localized aspect of personality of Godhead within his own self constantly. This is called Samadhi. तच्छद्रदाना मुनयो ज्ञानवैराग्ययुक्तया पश्यन्त्यात्मानि चात्मानं भक्ता श्रितगृहीतया. The seriously inquisitive sage or student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes the absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. So this chapter, Divinity and Divine Service, Sutta Goswami, after being satisfied by the questions that are asked by the sages, he is first expressing his gratitude and obeisance to his Guru Sukadeva Goswami, and he continues to explain more to the sages who are assembled there. So here in this verse, this verse indicates the types of devotees and also how we should practice bhakti and where we stand. So many people come and ask, whenever they see a sadhu or somebody, they ask, have you seen God? Or can you show us God? But before asking such a kind of question, one should understand, can we see God? Instead of asking, can you show God? We should ask ourselves, can we see God? Like for example, Prabhupada always gives a classic example of a motor car. If there is suppose there is something wrong with the motor car, and we look into the engine, our car is broke down sometime. We go look into the engine, we don't understand anything what's going on. But when we call a mechanic and he comes and sees, he will actually see what is the problem. So the perspective or the knowledge that he carries to repair or to correct the machine, so he looks at the perspective of looking at it is quite different. So like that, one should have a knowledge before asking, or one should be eligible before asking that whether they can see the God or not. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Namam drishtino muda prapadyante naradhama. Instead of asking, where is God? First of all, can you show me God? What qualification you have acquired that you can see God? So how we can acquire qualifications to see the God? So when asked that question to oneself, the first qualification that one should have is Tachidradana Muneha. One should be very faithful and faithful to understand God and the process of Shraddha. What is Shraddha? Shraddha means complete, no deviation or no questioning, complete surrender to the knowledge, to the Supreme Lord. So one must be very eager to see God. That's the first qualification. In order to understand about God, one must be very eager. There is no, instead of asking, one must be, to see God like a magic. One must be very serious in inquiring what is God, what are His activities. So, like for example, one time Prabhupada was explaining in one of his lectures, there was one person who was reciting Bhagavatam, and he was explaining that Krishna is wearing all these precious jewels He's all well decorated. He's, and he's going to go to tend the cows. So this person, once he hears this description, he is actually a thief. So hearing it, the words of Krishna wearing jewels, he becomes really, oh, if I go and see Krishna, I can probably steal all these jewels and then, become very rich, millionaire. So then he says, okay, then I need to see Krishna. Where is this Krishna? So and then because he hears that he goes and tends the cows, so he goes and joins the Gopas and Krishna's party for going to tend the cows. So he's in the forest and he's looking for all Krishna. And then once he sees Krishna, then he says, okay, I need to know, he will go to Krishna and says, oh Krishna, you're so nice. And he starts flattering in Krishna, showing that, he can build that association and then, ultimately get to that closeness and steal all the jewels from him. But even though his intention was stealing, but his eagerness grew day by day to get, first he heard about him, then he made a plan to get close to Krishna. Then he approached Krishna. To approach, he developed, he tried to please, he tried to flatter, he tried to praise Krishna. Even though his intention was wrong, but the process he did brought him closer to Krishna. So when finally he did everything to please and Krishna got pleased, so then he went, okay, then Krishna said, okay, take the jewels. But then by the time, because of following this process, he became so pure that he doesn't want anything. He just wants to be with Krishna. So similarly, like Dhruva Maharaj's story, if we see, he wanted to get the kingdom, which is greater than his grandfather, Brahma. But, he goes, he does the tapasya and everything, but when he sees Vishnu, he says, I don't want anything. These are like broken pieces of glass. So the process of inquiring purifies us, and we will actually understand the absolute truth. So for us, the greatest example of devotion is gopis. So they didn't care whether they were forcibly stopped, they lost their lives. They didn't care. All they wanted is being eager to see Krishna. The status of their mind is always being eager to see Krishna, be with Krishna. Although we cannot imitate, but that's the example we can see. No matter whatever difficulties or whatever we are going through, our eagerness to see Krishna, to hear about Krishna, will bring us closer day by day in understanding the absolute truth. So, Rupa Goswami says, Krishna bhakti rasa bhavita mati kriyatam yadi kuto api labhyate. So how do we develop this how do we inculcate this process? It says there is the process is available, which is following Krishna consciousness. If it is possible, please purchase, please don't delay. And in the next verse he says, Krishna bhakti rasa bhavamrita kriyatam, please purchase immediately. So to purchase this, what is the qualification? What is the price? What do we need to do? Tatra laulyam ekalam mulyam. Simply your eagerness. That is the price you have to pay. So then once you show your eagerness, Krishna, you get Krishna immediately. So So by eagerness, one can automatically one will be automatically enriched with knowledge and detachment. Knowledge does not mean, okay, let's say somebody has discovered an atomic bomb. That is not knowledge. Knowledge means people are dying. You have discovered something. So this giving something, to stop the, the death or the people dying, that is knowledge. Jnana vairagya yuktaya. As soon as you get the knowledge, you automatically become detached from all this material, nonsense material happiness. Now this verse also explains the four different types of human beings: karmis, jnanis, yogis, and devotees. So the karmis are materialistic, right? So, and jnanis and yogis are pursuing in some way, in some level, towards Krishna. But karmis are completely materially attached, and they're only interested in material things. And these out of these three transcendental, the first class transcendentalists are devotees who have realized the Supreme Person. These are Bhagavatas. Their only motive of their life is to give the knowledge of Krishna for the benefit of the humankind. So the classic example that we are seeing here is Suta Goswami. He is giving knowledge. The sages are asking the questions in Naimisharanya, and he is giving the knowledge just for the benefit of the mankind. So he is one example for us. And then second class transcendentalists who are partially realized the plenary portion of the absolute person. These people are like, they understand the devotees, they understand the, they are somewhere in between. They understand the devotion a bit. They understand that there is something called absolute truth. They understand, they're compassionate with the ignorant people, and they also are compassionate with the people who are envious. So these people, Prabhupada tells us that at least we need to be in that stage, so that for us to progress in the process of bhakti. So, whereas, as we said, the third class devotee, they will see only God in the temple. They cannot see Krishna amongst the devotees. They will see only, they will believe that there is only God in the temple, and they cannot understand that they cannot understand that Paramatma lies in everyone's heart. He is a super part and soul of each and every devotee, and so what happens is, for these people, one has to receive, to progress to at least the second level, they have to receive the instructions from the authoritative sources of Bhagavata. So, when we in order to transcend this, when third class devotee gets the instructions from Bhagavata, then slowly one will understand the activities, one will understand what Lord is, because Bhagavata is only interested in giving the knowledge and make us understand what God is. So this third class devotee will slowly transcend to the next level. So sincere devotee, must be prepared to hear the Vedic literatures and other literatures which are given by the authorities. Why we need the knowledge? Because devotion without knowledge becomes a sentimental process. Then so here Prabhupada clearly established that devotional service must be established on the principles of Shruti, Smriti, Purana, and Pancharatra authorities. So that means one has to, for example, if you want to approach somebody, a big person, you first try to inquire about who that person is. What does he do? What are his activities? Where does he go? What things he will like? I heard a very interesting example. when Beatles were doing the tour, Yamuna Mataji, in order to, they wanted to make an album, but they don't know how. They wanted to meet the Beatles. So first they inquired where they go, when are they doing any show. So first they inquire, and then they make these nice cheesecakes. She's an expert in cooking. So she makes these nice cheesecakes, and they go, and they somehow manage to give this prasadam to the Beatles group, And then slowly, after some time, they say, who are these people who are getting nice prasadam? And then slowly they come in contact, and then, we all know that, the association they got. So like that, when one wants to approach, so they will find out the knowledge, they will find out about those people, their activities, and how to approach, So similarly, if we want to understand the absolute truth, we need to understand his activities, the description about him. I mean, actually, the reason why we are reading Bhagavatam is that, right? So we want to understand Krishna, so that we can improve our devotional service. So going back to the third class devotee, especially third class devotees, we have very little taste for hearing from the authorities. So, we pretty much, I can talk about myself, I have very limited taste for hearing, even if we hear how much we apply. But when we come in a group, when we take the association of devotees, it really, it really enhances the mood. Like we all come for kirtan, it really enhances our mood, and our eagerness to see Krishna or to understand Krishna becomes more. So, So the conclusion is that, one cannot know the Supreme Personality of Godhead by any other method, but only when we understand, when we follow the devotional service process of hearing and chanting. And when one realizes that, the Paramatma stays within our heart, and we realize that constantly, one enters a stage of samadhi. So that's my understanding of the verse today. If anybody wants to add anything, please add. Thank you. Sadrapala.
Just to appreciate, it's very nice how you went sentence by sentence in the translation and tried to actually cover the important messages that are there in this purport. So my inspiration is that just the eagerness that you were talking about. I was just finding myself to have had eagerness a whole lot before, and then slowly as the anartha nivritti process kind of takes into peak, then that eagerness somewhat like turns into like a desperate need to be relieved from this anarthas. Even though it looks like eagerness, somehow it feels to me now that it is not actually eagerness to serve Krishna, it is not that eagerness to get in touch with Krishna, but it's mostly to get liberated from the platform of suffering. And the only hope is, like you said, the only hope is that even the intentions are not really pure, but somehow because of having a spiritual master in life and having devotees in life, even though the intention for approaching Krishna every time, even after becoming initiated or practiced for some years and stuff like that, the deepest thing that needs to be needs to transform is the intention. But still, even if the intentions are not correct, at least if by just sticking to the process and sticking to the association, Krishna will purify and then reveal himself. So that is the process, that's the thing that I am inspired by from today. So I want to check at least once in a while where is my eagerness coming from, and if it is possible to really change it for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna at some point slowly. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. It's a very touching and inspiring class. I was inspired similar to Shatrupa Mataji sharing. When you shared that Tatra Laulyam Mulya, I don't know if I'm saying right, it really touched deeply. I was actually contemplating in my own life how that eagerness is actually, I mean, you said that's the only way to see Krishna, and I could recollect so many experiences where I had such a personal reciprocation from devotees and Krishna. But as I kept practicing, I feel that eagerness is sort of drained off. I mean, it comes once in a while, but not so much as I can. As you were speaking, it touched my heart. And I was really inspired. That's the only way. And I have those glimpses to go back and take the inspiration from and reinstate that eagerness to once again feel the joy of this process. And it's also very nice how you have explained through those examples just by engaging in the process. And I'm inspired with this, just the second thing I'm really touched by. Therefore, one has to make definite progress from the position of material devotional service to the second class devotional position. So it's nice we are in the association of devotees and get in contact with the devotional service, but I shouldn't become like, okay, now I'm a devotee, that's all done. But I have to have constant or continued or increasing my eagerness to progress at least to that second level. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much for such a wonderful class. As Mataji was saying, short and sweet. You have given a very nice description. More or less you covered the entire purport of Srila Prabhupada. I was just stuck with one of the points about the faith you were mentioning. Faith. Said that surrender means without deviation and without questioning. Actually, to attain that level of surrender, I think it will take a long time. Especially for me, I am seeing a complete different world everywhere because I am day in and day out. I keep interacting with scientists and researchers as a part of my job, and it is very difficult to actually speak to them about God, especially. Here we see Pashyant Atmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Grihitya. So it is very clear that we can see Pashyanti, but we can see through hearing, Shruta. So this simple thing somehow is missing from the understanding of the general public, or we can say the scientific community. For them, they always attach the value of some part of knowledge to its complication. So unless things are very, very complicated, they can't accept it. So this actually is quite a bit of challenge whenever I speak or try to speak about these spiritual subject matters. People are immediately put off. They are they are some they are in some different world. They say, "Arre, this is too simple to accept. We can't accept this." But fortunately, Bhagavatam gives such elaborate descriptions of many things. Maybe I should equip myself with far better things to speak to them. Just like they always ask this question, as you said, can you show me God? So in other words, they say, can you prove the existence of God? This is what they put. Unfortunately, if I ask a question which is, can you disprove the existence of God? They don't have any answer to this. So just like they say, you can't prove God to me, I can also say you can't disprove the existence of God. But the problem is, they are just blinded with so many immediate comforts which science is apparently giving them, just to say that, okay, these are coming, we are happy. This is like the Prabhupada gives the example of a rabbit or an ostrich which puts its head inside some hole and thinks that there is no danger anymore. But somehow these people are actually missing that we are going to die. And when we say we give solution to death, people look at us like, hey, you are a crazy person, you are also dying. So they don't understand that we are speaking about a long-term eternal thing. Somehow I don't know how to convince many of these people. It is quite a bit of challenge actually. Just like they put faith in science and scientists, for us we also put faith in scriptures and the sages. But for them, disproving something means writing an equation and showing it. But unfortunately, we don't have an equation to prove that there is soul. It has to be realized, because the laboratory is within. For them, the laboratory is outside. Right? So they make many adjustments there and try to bring out something like the recent picture of the black hole that has become very famous. We have taken a picture of the black hole, and a lot of study is going on that. But when we are asked, can you show me a picture of God, we can happily show Krishna, but people are somehow not ready to accept. Maybe in that sense, I was always thinking that we should have a different way of presenting this philosophy of Bhagavatam to this community especially, so that we can actually give them something very objective, because they always feel that we are very subjective people. So, but anyways,
They have you,
Mataji.
Prabhu. So they have you around, so
Yeah. So, but it is very enlightening to hear these subtle subject matters which just slip off the brain of common people. Actually, they don't even think to this far extent. Actually, thank you very much, Mata. These are some thoughts which just are passing through my mind. Actually,
Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for a nice class. I am also inspired by the aspect of eagerness to know the Krishna, and that's the only prize. I was thinking like as we progress, ideally our eagerness should increase. So that way we will be able to see Krishna everywhere. But like Shatruma Mataji pointed out, but initially we will be covered by anarthas, and a point comes that eagerness somehow missing. Really, I have to search, I have to think about what I am doing, right? So yeah, that's where I am. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful class. It was very informative. I'm reading this line that devotional service is not therefore meant for the that is actually the intelligent man, and I'm glad Prabhupada actually keeps on reinforcing that. Because sometimes when you're outside and you're among people, it's like, okay, it's not really appreciated that much, as much as like scientific knowledge or something. And then when you come and read these four thoughts, it just keeps on reinforcing the point. And really it is true, when you think about it. The more intelligent, class of the continent is, that's what
So, it's very interesting topic. The so it was very interesting. When I read the verse earlier also, I didn't get much out of it, but when devotees are speaking about the eagerness, it's always make a joke of it, or always myself. Initially, the eagerness is always there for everybody. The eagerness comes, in fact, myself. It's not about anybody. When you see a new thing, your eagerness is 100%, most of the time, because you want to know what that is, and you start working for it. So similarly, no difference. Even Krishna consciousness is same thing. When we get in touch with Krishna consciousness, my eagerness is like infinite. Wow, this is new thing. So after years of association and hearing, practicing, my realization is that eagerness is actually contaminated. It's not to know Krishna, rather I get the knowledge. Knowledge is very important. Knowledge is important. Without knowledge, you can't. And Maharaj was saying, if somebody walks into the room, a bunch of devotees are sitting, how do we know that person is a Krishna or a Krishna? He literally asked, how do we know? Unless you know the qualities, name and form, you cannot recognize that person is Krishna. Otherwise, it could be something else. So the knowledge is very important. So my realization is, initially we try to acquire so much knowledge with eagerness, but once we acquire that knowledge, we use that eagerness to get fame and name. I want to give a better class so people can appreciate me. I want to show my knowledge. It's not to know Krishna. Out of 100, maybe there is 1% to know Krishna, but that 1% is to get 99% out of it for me. So I was hearing recently from one of the lectures, when that eagerness, that 99% is converted not for selfishness, but for really, really want to know Krishna, then something will happen. Otherwise, it's just a show. Even though we are very eager to hear Bhagavatam, internally what is happening. You read a verse, you tell somebody else what I read. I know this. Oh, this is subtle point. I only can make it. Nobody can make it. So I can do this in a class. So this mentality is there in me also. It's not that. So I was thinking when he was everybody is saying, please pray for me so I can get that 99% of eagerness for Krishna. Really, 1% maybe, I'm not I need to work on that one. Thank you. This is very inspiring when everybody talks about it. Again, still I'm feeling, oh, I made a big point. This is the contamination problem. Krishna, please pray.
As I was sharing in the beginning, some thoughts actually came to me because I was reading one of these holy name books by Satyananda Maharaj, and I'm also like parallelly trying to understand this empathic communication, the observation, feelings, needs, and that whole thing. And somehow the combination of these two, I was feeling when I shared about the eagerness, and when Arthanavritti, the eagerness kind of like switches into eagerness for just getting relieved, things like that. So one thought that came was that eagerness can come from different levels. In Bhagavad Gita, how we see that the senses are higher than the dull matter, and the mind is higher than the senses, intelligence is higher than the mind, and then you or the spirit soul is higher than all these. In that hierarchy, the eagerness can arise from each level. If it is sensory eagerness, then it gets satisfied very easily with just like good music and nice people around. They talk so nicely when we come to temple, and it's all like external, and it gets satisfied, and then the eagerness fades off. And the mental mind level is like a little bit more when we have suffering, when we are looking for something and we get it, and then so the eagerness kind of like fades off. And then at the intellectual level, like how Prabhu was sharing that, there are like different classes of people and the different classes of enjoyment that we have. That intellectual enjoyment is something that we really can't identify that easily. It looks very, very innocent and pure, that intellectual enjoyment, because it is very subtle, because it gives a kick of, like how, oh nice, that, this is happening to me and I'm having this inspiration and something like that. So that when that gets satisfied again, the eagerness to see Krishna again fades off. So the thing is, we can't negate, I feel that, I'm not speaking this from any Shastra, but I feel that we cannot negate that we have eagerness at this level, because we are, I am conditioned and I'm in this body here, so these levels of eagerness are going to come. But how Prabhu said that to transfer it, or to understand at least that I'm actually in this level, gives a lot of clarity that, okay, my God, I'm still in this level after all these years. And then reinstating, after recognizing this is where I am, and just reinstating, trying to somehow or other connect to our spiritual platform, even for a moment a day or something like that. That little bit cultivation of connecting with Krishna, at least during the primary core processes that we do. That's what Sachinandan Maharaj was speaking about in his book of the Holy Name. Even Purijan Prabhu speaks about this. And many, whoever wrote about Holy Name, they speak about it, how we have to call out to Krishna from the place of really wanting to connect with him, like a child want to connect with mother. So that means that the desperation or that thing is really coming from within, and not from these external activities or coverings that we have. It is actually mind-blowing to me that this much is there in Bhagavatam, and I never understood or understand it. Like it's so much is there, but when we discuss, when each person shares about their understanding and inspiration that has come through years, it helps actually to go deeper and to understand or inspect where I am, and where is my desire to serve or eagerness, everything, all these things come from. And ultimately I can't change everything myself. I have to place it to Krishna and say that, Guru and Krishna and this is what I am. I don't know what to do. I think that's I don't know if I'm giving up by saying this, but that's the way I feel. Like I can't switch it around by myself. I think I'm just sharing because we had time. And there's nothing productive, but thank you.
No, adding on to your thing, one when we understand where we are, it also gives us a clear kind of a direction to work for, So if we, then we can understand where we have to go and what we have to do with, because our goal is to learn. Our goal is to acquire that knowledge. So then when we know where we are, then we can have a direction of what to approach, where to go, what to do. If we don't have an understanding, we are just living, then we don't have any direction as such. Like we have a goal. Every Sunday we want to come to the temple, so we work towards that. So so that's what I was just realizing from your tongue. I have it open.
By assimilation of such messages, is that what you
Mhm.
By assimilation of such messages from the Vedic literatures, one can see the all-pervading localized aspect of the personality of Godhead within his own self constantly. This is called Samadhi.
Yeah, we were doing that. Here, Prabhu. Prabhuji. No, no, it's for the benefit of.
ఎవరు ఎవరు Hare Krishna. We have a great soul, His Grace Gada Chandra Das Prabhu in the kitchen, helping all of us, all of you with the breakfast prasadam. As we promised, we are keeping our words. So you all can have a nice pack of prasadam downstairs while you're going. The time is almost up. Then I know you will all be cursing me in case I just make you wait for another 5 minutes. I know everybody will run. I don't know, as in even the faster than the shot of their gun. I understand that. So thank you all very much for such a wonderful class, the wonderful speaking, purpose and all that.
Could you please share some thoughts?
Share. That's what I said. I just, majority of the message I just missed, but then Bhagavatam is just, even one word one understands and then follows it in his own personal life. That's more than anything that Srila Prabhupada words like that. No, one word, one sentence doesn't matter. One word, if we just live in our own life, that will be perfection of this life. Back home, back to Godhead. You can see Krishna face to face. That is the word Srila Prabhupada. Face to face. So that is what it is. So wonderful. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.